My full name is Martha Lavinia Page. I was born in Douglas County, Georgia, on Adair Street. My birthday is January 26, 1923. My mother was named Mattie Middlebrooks. She married my father, I don't know what year, Joe Garmer, my father. Mattie and Joe Garmer. And they had 17 children of all of us, all of the Garmers. My mother had two brothers, Uncle Ralph and Uncle Gene and Uncle Barry. And he came early that morning, she said, and I was asleep and T was laying over there. I said, Mattie, what in the world you gonna do with this big Busta and that teaser weenie over there? And how in the world that got out, I don't know. Uncle Gene called me Busta first. He named me because he the one said Busta first, my mother in the bed. And see, like she just had us the night before. And he came, and I'm so much larger than T. Mm-hmm. And he said, Mattie, what in the world you gonna do with this big Busta here and that little teaser on over there? She said, I'm gonna do all right. I don't know how it got out over time. I guess my mother just started saying Busta. I don't know. But that's what she tell me. Uncle Gene started it. Asked her, what in the world you gonna do with this big Busta and that little tease? And that was something else. And everybody got to calling me Busta. And do you know most of the white people I work for think my name's Busta? They think my name, for years they thought my name was Busta. I said, no, that's not my name. My name is Martha. Bercy, Ralph, Joe Henry. They are all older than I am. Matilda, and see, I started Ralph, Joe Henry, Bercy, Matilda, Bercy, and I don't know the brother name, but Margie. Well, Margie was older. I was older than Margie. I was the first, and then and Frank and Francis, Martha Louise, and Marilyn Louise and Martha Lavinia. My twin sister named Marilyn Louise, yeah. Martha Lavinia and Marilyn Louise. I was born, let's see, I was born in a white neighborhood. And everybody just having a fit over the black twins because I was born in the neighborhood. I had a wonderful life. My mother was my mother loved everybody and was easygoing. You never did see my mother angry. My mother never was angry. She kept all that to herself, and if she was, she kept it away from us. My mother always wanted to do something for somebody else. And she always taught us, be good, love one another, love your neighbor like they love you. Didn't stay there long enough to know, cause see, my mother moved we moved us to a black neighborhood as a child, and we don't know about that, cause we was children when we moved to Adair Street, which was a black neighborhood. But I knew everybody. Well, we loved everybody. My mother taught us to love. My mother taught us to love the good, the bad, and the ugly. We all grew up with love. That's the reason I love everybody, because my mother wasn't nothing but love, because she was so lovely at home. And neighbors, just treat neighbors right. And she would tell us, as we grew, we went to Zion Hill Baptist Church. Zion Hill, that's this church here Warren Chapel,
Right.
Golden, and Zion Hill were the only churches that we knew anything about till we got grown.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't know about Winston Chapel Hill
Right.
churches.
Right.
But these was the three black, this was the first church.
Mm-hmm.
Golden was Warren Chapel. Golden was Warren Chapel at that time,
Right.
the original church. And then Zion Hill. We'd come here on the first Sunday, second Sunday, Golden, and then go on to Zion Hill. And that's how people knew one another.
Right.
And they had a church out in Mount Carmel. Black people went to that, and then eventually it was a Methodist church out in a place called Mount Carmel. And later years, they emerged from Mount Carmel to Golden. And that's when our church started to grow it, you know. And Zion Hill, but the black people always went to the black churches.
And y'all fellowship.
First, second, and third.
Y'all fellowship amongst each
Fellowship, oh yes. That's how we knew everybody, because you'd meet up at church, and then we'd go home and eat. And people, neighbors were neighbors back then, cheering, you know, they changed their little clothes. And we just enjoyed around in the yard. Wasn't nothing else to do. There wasn't no restaurants or nothing at that time.
Yeah.
My mother, I come out of home of cooks. My mother, and they got it from my Margie. You remember Margie's
Yes,
cooking? Oh, she was a cook. And Margie could sing. You remember Margie singing?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, she would sing at the churches and funerals just like the ones do now, you know. She'd go to Zion Hill. Or whoever would want her to sing, she would always be ready.
Yeah.
She didn't go to work. She just have to get ready to go sing. And I mean, everybody thought she had a voice like Mahalia Jackson.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
And she done that till she died.
Right.
Just going, people that really want to hear her sing.
Yeah.
And some of the older people, they just wanted to hear Margie sing because she could sing. And she kept something going. Well, now, y'all all remember Margie.
Yes, ma'am.
You should.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Margie had a sense of humor, and just so she carried on something all the time.
Yeah.
You, Teresa, Peggy, and Dara was always different. Dara was always different. Now, when everybody else was in the family having fun, Dara was on the bed with a book, fumbling with his hands, trying to do something. We didn't have no television or nothing like that back then, you know. But he always kept himself busy. You'd open the door and he'd be in there trying to fix this and trying to fix that, and stayed in there. He never, because y'all never did see Dara much when you all would visit, did you?
No, ma'am.
Because that's who he was. And he's still like that today. But just worked, you know, as I grew, they was working, and Ralph lived in front of us, and he and his sister men had gotten married, and he would make fun to go to the woods and get something, some kind of oak, and come and make a settee and 2 chairs, and live across the street from us.
Okay.
And he done that for a long time.
What about your other brother?
And Joe Henry, he was always different. We didn't see him too much. But we all was just together, you know. Joe Henry lived next door to us, and Ralph and just a minute lived. We all, Ralph, Joe Henry, and my family, we all lived. Ralph lived in front of us, and Joe Henry lived across from us. And then the old lady, Miss Campbell, I loved her to death. She was different from Matilda. We all got along, but Matilda, Busta was just different. He was my buddy. And Matilda, there used to be a train come to Douglasville. And I remember Matilda, Evelyn Dodge, and Idris Long. I don't know where you know it in them names I'm calling. Idris Long was a teacher. Evelyn Dodge was just, I don't know what she did. But they'd all meet up on Sunday, but Matilda was a dresser. Now my sister wore long dresses. Now she'd go home and put her there to go come. The train stopped here and picked her. I went from here to Los Angeles on the train, got on it right uptown. But anyway, Matilda, Evelyn Dawes, and Idris Long, and Nathaniel Swapshire, and they all just met up there, especially during the war. And Matilda was dressed up. That's where I got my woman's dress.
That's where you got your dressing
Oh, yeah. My sister was a dresser, I'm telling you. And she loved them long dresses, and I don't know where she got them.
Right.
But anyway, when she come from church, and she tell my mother, said, Miss Mattie, I'm going to meet the train. That was every Sunday, because I didn't have nowhere else to meet.
Right.
And Evelyn Dawes, I remember her talking about Evelyn Dawes, Idris Long, Evelyn Dawes, Idris Long, and Matilda, but it was some more than that up there, you know, because they wanted to see the people on the train, and the train would stop. And that was just enjoyment. You look forward, they look forward.
Meet new people.
Oh, yeah. And different ones just started gathering, you know.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from Matilda about dressing.
Yeah.
And I said, when I get old, I'm going to dress just like, get me a job, and I'm going to dress just like you, and I'm going to get me a dress to sweep the floor. She could wear a dress. Now, Matilda was fashionable. Clyde. Yeah, my brother Clyde. Didn't know too much about him. He was just my brother, you know. But we all got along and had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. And he died early. Oh yeah, Frank was something there. He was the oldest that stayed at home and worked with my daddy, you know. And we seen a lot of him and J.C. You know my brother J.C. He worked at a store. He worked at the grocery store for years. Well, he really worked there until he left and went to Cincinnati.
Right.
And we called him Crook. Yeah, you remember a lot, girl. Yeah, we had a Crook was something else. Oh, J.C. was something else. And especially after he grew up, he married and stayed married and had his children. He married a girl from Marietta somewhere. Marietta, I believe.
Barbara.
And you know her name.
Yes, Barbara.
Yeah, Barbara. And we just kept growing. Oh my goodness, what about him? He was good. Now he was a lot of fun at home. J.C., Lynn and J.C., they was the clowns at home. And we just had a lot of fun as it gone. You know, just get together and have a lot of fun. Each one was doing their own thing, but they done it at home, most done it at home. And now she was just like my mother. Oh, Rebecca was sick all the time. From a child. And she lost eyesight. And she was just sick. And my mother would have to take her to the doctor in Atlanta. I remember this, I can't call it now, but I forgot the name of the hospital she was in for a long time. And she was fine until something happened to plan or something that hit in the back. That's why she had that hump in her back. But she was sick all her life. And she was, I love Ruby K. She was just a mother and everything. Yeah. And we were real close. Yeah. She got strong and got able to do everything. Learn how to cook, and she was just something. Oh, Lord. what can you say? Loved everybody. Wasn't strong like me. I've always been the go person. Oh, the boss in the family and everything else. And I mean too. And Frances was just a Jew. Frances, you can't say nothing about Frances, but she was just born a good person. She never was loud or nothing. And she went to school, and she was just the joy to be around home. She could tell you, just sit and talk with a conversation, but it was all about being good and wanting to treat people right. That's who I grew up with around Frances, and that's who she was. And I used to fight, my God. I used to fight. And people pick at me, you know, and especially after I got old and started working for white people. And I'd buy clothes and they'd give me my clothes, and I just go to work neat, you know, because Matilda taught me that. Said, Busta, always look your best going to work or wherever you go. Not what you have on, but the way you put it on. You got me?
Yes, yes.
It's the way you put it on, and that's true. I started working when I really started when I was 14 years old. Met a family on Bowden Street, the Wilson. And me and that Louise got just like sisters. She was white. And it was a nice neighborhood, all the well-to-do, well, not all of them, but a lot of well-to-do white people. And I just went there like I'm going home in the morning. And she was young, and I was young, and we just got to be friends. And we was friends until she got grown. Dated, we'd go and see her husband, her boyfriend was in the service. And we'd run uptown when the troop train would come through just to see, could we see him. Leave her mother's house and run up to meet the troop train when the soldiers passed through. Wilsons are just like going home until most of them died. And after Louise married and moved to Illinois, Madge had Betty and Barbara, just like going home. I went there just like going home. Oh yeah, that's all I ever done. I didn't want to do nothing there because see, I knew the white people. And then I hope put that Douglas County Center together. Just like them. Just like them. They treated me just treated me right, like I was a human being. And I knew everybody on Bowden Street. Cleaning up, I just done housework, done just a regular maid. I was a maid, I guess the word to say, all my life. I was a maid. And I know all the white people here, they know me. The last job I had, I worked with Bruce Hudson and Janie Hudson. I worked there until I was 84 years old. That was the last job. And they was in Florida. And I just paid said, Martha, it's time for us to have a little time together, you know. And I said, okay, Dad. And Janie had gone to Florida to stay anyway, but they lived here. And Rena tell you, she's just like a sister. The first husband I met, my job was here, and he had to move to Tallapoosa. And I met the Owensby family in Oklahoma. His name was Oklahoma because he was born in Oklahoma. That was his name, Oklahoma Owensby. And we got married, stayed married for several years. Oh yeah, but he was Indian, part Indian. And his Dorothy looks just like his mother. My Dorothy looked just like his mother in every way. Here, I'd go back and forth from here to Tallapoosa. And we lived at Tallapoosa for not too long. So he was travel, and I stayed here, and he'd come here. And he wanted to move to California. Well, he moved to California, but I didn't go with him. And then he came back and got me and the baby. Dorothy was a baby when I got on the train right here. Went all the way to Los Angeles from getting on the train right here in Douglasville. The train will stop here. And I stayed out there for quite, let's see, how many years did I stay? A couple of years. And he got to gambling. He said it was gambling. I don't know what. See, I couldn't go nowhere because I was handicapped. I couldn't drive. And in that big city, he was good to me though, very good to me. He was good. He loved Dorothy, but he wanted to go all the time. He was on the go all the time, and I wasn't gonna live like that. I said no, and I couldn't drive out there. And the old lady, he introduced me to an old lady to see about Dorothy, and we'd go off on the weekend, just tour, and he'd show me the city or whatever. And sometimes we'd take Dorothy, with us. But that wasn't me. I couldn't stand that. So I met her. I didn't know how to get away or leave or nothing. And so a young lady next door moved there from Chicago. And she said, "Miss, I don't mean no harm. You look so sad and lonely. What's the matter?" And I said, Nothing's the matter. I said, "Yes, it is." Said, "I want to help you." Said, "You go to the mailbox and go right back in the house till your husband come home." I said, she said, "That's not good for you." Said, "You too young for that." And I really didn't pay it no attention, too much. And Oklahoma made good money, and I had money. I just had 2 or 3 shoe boxes of money of my own. He thought he knew I wasn't going nowhere, and I putting it up. And after I learned her, we got to be friends. I said, "I want to go home." I said, "I just don't like here." I said, "He's good, and all he do is work and come home, and we go downtown and all that." I said, "I just don't want my daughter to live like that." I said, "I'm going back home some kind of way, but I don't want him to know it." And she said, "Well, just tell him you lonely and see what he say, and you won't. Say, just tell him." And I did. And he said, "Martha, why are you upset?" I said, "Because you gone all the time, and I don't get to do nothing. That's not me. You know it wasn't me." And I said, "I just want to go home." And he said, "I don't want you to go." And I said, "Well, why?" I knew I was married. I said, "Okay." So, Osa Frank, I thought about it. She said, well, she kept talking to me. Said, "I'm not telling you what to do." Said, "But you's unhappy." And said, you don't need to raise your daughter like Dorothy was so cute." And she said, "You don't need that, ma'am." Said, "No, I'm not trying to tell you what to do." Said, "But you need to be around your family, I believe." I said, "I do. I miss my family." And she said, "He don't want you to." I said, "No." She said, "Well, did you have anybody?" She said, "If you want to go, I'll take you to the airport." And I had my money, I had saved my money. He didn't know I had my money. I saved my money, and I called Osa Frank. Osa Frank, I said, "Osa Frank, I got something to tell you. I said, I'm coming home, but Oakley don't want me to come, but I'm leaving. I got my fare." And I said, "I met this girl a few months ago, and she was real nice. She just met me at the, where they put the mailbox. And said, 'Ma'am, you look so lonely.' And I said, 'Oh my goodness.' You're too nice of a good person to be in that apartment like that by yourself, you and that baby." I was Wi-Fi, And I just wasn't used to that.
Right.
And those Frank said, Bus, I said, don't tell nobody. I'm going to tell you something. When you meet me at the airport, I'll call and you let you know. He said, oh, yeah, I'll meet you, honey. And I said, will you? And you won't tell don't tell nobody. I said, when I get ready to leave, I'll call you. And I told you the night before and have you not to go to work. You make sure you meet me at the airport. And he met me. Honey, when I got on that ground, I wanted to kiss it. I was so lonely. Had money, but what is money if you can't enjoy it and want to do something, just you and other friends? I didn't know nobody out there. And all around, all my nieces and all the neighbors and things. I liked it when I believe I'd have just died right there. But that just hurt him so bad. I said, I can't help it. I said, I'm leaving. I'm ready to go. After I told him I didn't want to upset because he was good, mighty good to us. And I said, I just want to go home. And he said, Martha, I can't make you stay. Said, but I wasn't old enough to know about no marriage, being away from home and couldn't drive and go nowhere. He gone all day. And just on the weekend going downtown for it. I wanted to come and see some of my black folk. I'm telling you, I did. I said, I wanted all women's feel like. Well, see, if I could have drove, I'd been, see, me and this lady I met, she was such a sweet person. Yeah. And we could have been together and do like women do, go shopping. And this old lady, she sure did hate to see her die. He had an old lady to keep Dorothy. And she was a nice old lady, but I didn't. I said, well, I ain't bumped that. I'm going home. And old Frank set me free. Said, yeah, I meet you. Don't tell nobody. And when I knocked on that door, and he met with said, what you doing here? I said, I'm here to stay. I was just lonely. I was just sick. I was just sick. And she said, but what happened? I said, nothing. I just got so lonely and couldn't go nowhere and sitting there. And if that woman hadn't said what she did, I don't know what I'd have done. I believe I'd had a heart attack. And see, I had to see about Dorothy, and she began to grow, you know. Yeah. And that was the beginning of that. Dorothy Louise Ormsby. It's the only time I was pregnant and only child. And Dorothy, Sarah Clyde is just like Dorothy's mother. We back in Douglasville now. Well, Dorothy, always smart. And she had a song. I wish Sarah Clyde could hear it. And, that song and she would sing and dance around for me at the house, you know. And she could sing. And she was just growing up to be so cute. And just like the orange, that Dorothy's born with white hair just as white as it is now. Her hair never was black, just solid white like it is now. That's the way Dorothy was born. And she was such a joy to grow up, but when I got back home, Sarah Clyde and them lived up the street. I'm back in Douglasville now. Mm-hmm. And Dorothy could sing, Caledonia, what make your big head so hard. And Sarah Clyde, and it's another song she sang. I done got old and can't think. And dressed Dorothy up, and one thing about it, he gave me money to buy whatever I wanted for her. He loved Dorothy. And she had some of the cutest little clothes. And Sarah Clyde, I'd go to work, and they might say, Sarah Clyde would come and get Dorothy and dress up and take her uptown. And see, I knew everybody, and they'd say, who little girl is that? And Sarah Clyde would tell them. And she can sing. She's really from California, but she sang. And she said, let us hear her sing. Caledonia, what make your big head so hard? I done forgot the song. And they'd give her a quarter or 50 cents, Sarah said. And Dorothy was old enough to tell me when I got her mama, Sarah Clyde fixed me up and took me to town. And the white people, that when they knew she was my daughter, they'd give her money to sing. And Sarah Clyde didn't give me none of the money. That was I said, what? Sarah Clyde, how come you didn't give Dorothy some of the money? She said they'll give you 50 cents or a quarter. I said, why didn't you give Dorothy some of the money? Especially banks and molders. Well, the people I knew, and I knew everybody in the stores. And the ones I knew, she just take her to in all the stores and tell them about how Dorothy could sing, and Dorothy could sing. And I thought she was the cutest thing, I'm telling you the truth. I really, and Dorothy was just so smart. And Sarah Clyde, the last time I remember a poem in Dorothy's hand playing, Dorothy was 8 years old, and they've been that way ever since. Sarah Clyde and Dorothy and Sarah Clyde just like sisters. Everything, everywhere Sarah Clyde worked, Dorothy'd get there, except she didn't go to General Motors. But they have had a relationship ever since Dorothy come back to Douglasville. Dorothy and Sarah Clyde mostly raised Dorothy. And Joanne, she was headstrong and all. Dorothy told my mom I come for work, but you're going to have to get these folks some bicycles. Dorothy said Joanne cried when Sarah Clyde wouldn't let her ride her bicycle. And said, Mama, Joanne out there crying because Sarah Clyde and them wouldn't let her ride. I said, I'm going to tell Mama on you because Mama would buy us a bicycle, talking about me. And I said, Joanne, what? Said, I just want to, I said, well, I'm going to get y'all a bicycle if you want it. And said, Joanne crying and going on. And said, you stop that crying. You know you don't want no bicycle that bad. And Mama will buy us a bicycle. That's what she told Sarah Clyde. And Sarah Clyde had Joanne and what's the girl, Dame at Winston, married Lord, I can't call her name. Virgil, Joanne, Dorothy, and Sarah Clyde, and there was I can't call her name. They was just like that, and Sarah Clyde them had a fireplace like that, and they had to take the wood and coal and stuff in. Had an old bicycle, and Joanne loved to ride the bicycle. And their mama, Joanne out there crying. You tell Joanne to stop crying. And said Sarah Clyde to work us and don't give us nothing. And we toting in wood and coal. Well, they had an old bicycle. And brought the bicycle had a name. And so Sarah Clyde said, pat the old bicycle, says, so-and-so we gonna go in the house. Now I done got my work done. And they done the birds didn't working just like for nothing. Sarah Clyde didn't have to do nothing, just tell them, y'all take the wood and everything, and I'm gonna let so-and-so ride. They didn't have no bicycle like her. And said, the old bicycle had a name, and Sarah Clyde would pat the bicycle. I tell you the truth. And when Sarah Clyde told me that, I thought I'd die. And said Joanne and Dorothy hated, especially Joanne, she loved to ride the bicycle. And I believe it was Sunday night. Yeah, it was. I believe it was Sunday night. Him and Sarah Clyde. He was down there every evening. And that's just in the beginning of Dorothy growing up. And up until the day Sarah Clyde and Dorothy just like that. I've never seen them mad. And every job they got, Dorothy and Sarah Clyde close together. All their life. And they still that way. Sarah Clyde just like Dorothy's mother or sister, you would say. Yeah. Now, that's been a lot. I mean, Dorothy just turned 81 years old. Now, that's been that long. And they still friends. I've never seen them mad, angry at each other in my life. And Dorothy said they never have been. Yeah. And Sarah Clyde say the same thing. Well, let me go back. I worked for the Doges. The Doges kind of similar. I hope put that center together. Every Thursday night I live there. I can take you and show the room, my room now. The house is still there. Right off of where all those buildings, the business at, that first house there, I can show you where my room is. And that's where I grew up with all the white people, began to know me. And I'd go down the street, but I'm still connected with the Wilsons on Bowden Street. And
who were the Wilsons in Douglasville? You say they ran the Sentinel?
no, that's a different thing. But I said I'm still on Bowden Street, and Dorothy Paget and all them is still there, but they know me, you know. And Dot Paget says, I've always said, Busta, I'm gonna write a book about you. I said, a book? She said, yeah, I'm gonna write a book. And she never did. But my life with the white people and well-to-do, I never did work for no class white folk. I wanted to learn from them, they learned from me. And everybody on Bow Street, the one a lot of them dead now, know me, know Busta. Yeah, we know Busta. And then when Madge would go and got a job in the 10-cent store, and I met her friends and white people, hey, here come Busta, the other clerks. That's just the way I learned everybody. You know, I ran the store.
Right.
I don't know how you remember when
Pink store?
Yeah, I ran the pink store for years. Stayed around that pink store about 20 years. And that was the end of that.
Right.
And after that, I slowed up and just stayed around Douglasville doing, working. But I had a good life, and people was jealous of me. I used to fight. Last fight I was in, I told, when my blouse was almost torn off of me, she said, Busta, you better than that. Said, people jealous of you and hadn't got sense enough. They trying to break you down. Said, they see you working. I said, Francis, I'm nasty. I said, you would be surprised if people come up there and I give them clothes. Because we had so much stuff coming in the pink store, we had to throw it. See anything was stained a little bit on the neck and arm, we couldn't sell it. And see, I was getting the stuff for myself, and washing it. And I'd ask the ones that I really knew that had children. I said, would you like some of the clothes that you have to wash them? I said, we throwing so much stuff in the garbage. I said, and I get the stuff out for myself and my family. And I said, Teresa's friend, Danley, what's her name? What's that Danley girl's name? I used to give her all of the toys that you could wash in the wash. She ran a nursery. And that girl would come there every week and get on Friday and load herself up with stuff to go back and wash for her children to play with. Because I didn't want to throw that stuff in the garbage.
Because it was good stuff.
Yeah, not only her, you'd be surprised that I hope in the 20 years I was up there. And I met a lot of white people up there then, just in the store. And that was the last job I had uptown. I went to work for Janie Hudson and stayed there. But then I went to Miami to work too. That's where I was when I started dating Alfred.
Okay.
Here come that little black Busta. She thinks she's something. And the cafe, the cafe was down there. And me and Willie Bell, my friend Willie Bell, and the boys, I had some boyfriends, and I had men friends. I don't know, you take Amos, Paul, Clyde Hyman. People calling me going with Clyde Hyman, all this like Clyde Hyman, just like my brother. And I love Clyde Hyman. I loved him till he died. And he loved me. And not only Clyde, I could get me a man. I could get a man heart. And people, here come that little black Busta. She thinks she's something. And on Friday, I'd be sharp. I'd tell Willie Bill, put on your best. Clyde said he's going to take us to Atlanta tonight. We're going to leave him. Didn't leave James, left him down here to So the car, that's where the cars would be. People got where they just hated me and Willie Bear, cause the boys was picking it up. And see, they was just friends of mine. I wasn't dating none of them folks or going to bed with them or nothing. But I had a lot of men. I had more men friends than I did. And see, the girls were mad at me. Thought they. I said, what have I done? Rosamary Cox, I hooked her behind down there at the head. I said, she got one more time to come here. Here come that little black bus. She thinks she's a white woman. Ain't that ignorant?
Ignorant.
I said, Clyde said, Busta, let that mess alone. Said, don't pay them. Them folks just jealous of you. Said, look how you dressed and look what they got on. Said, them folks is jealous of you. So I said, jealous of me? What is I got? I ain't got no car, nothing. Said, they jealous of how you and Willie Bear pick yourself up.
Yeah.
And I guess the war, 'cause we could get to a lot of that. Y'all always, they say y'all come and get the white women and take them. You don't never take us to Atlanta. And some George Reed said, hell, you one thing you don't know how to act. I thought I'd die. George Reed told her, one thing y'all don't know how to damn act. I said, George, don't say that. They picks at me. Said, I'm just telling the truth. We ain't taking that junk to Atlanta.
Right.
And we get in the car and wave, bye-bye, and they just die. The lady was working there with my friend, and she told the boss lady that I was gonna help her out. And when I got there, she got sick, and they made me the supervisor. And I can't remember the year of it or nothing. And I stayed there up until, let me see, I stayed there almost 20 years. And it closed down. And I was the the manager of the store for 18 years. I just put it at that, because I stayed there 18 years. Me and another lady, Willie Boyd, we worked together side by side. But she was my friend before I went there. And Pink Store was Douglas County. Where I have to say, would help the poor. It would come there and get stuff at a different price. So that's why they call it the Pink Store. It was something like a Goodwill.
Right.
That's more like a Goodwill, but it's got a name. That's why they named it the Pink Store. People would bring their old clothes there and we'd sell them and make the profit, give it back to the, whatever we had that county had to do or the city had to do with it. That's what it was all about, helping the poor. And they called it the Pink Store. I enjoyed it.
But tell us, you enjoy working there?
Oh yeah, my boss, it was good. And Willie, I knew her, because she was born down the street. She lived down the street from where I was born. And see, I was born off Bowden Street. That's a white neighborhood. And that's why we was newborn. Didn't know when my mother moved to Adel Street, which was a black neighborhood. And me and T, we call her T, my twin, we were still babies when my mother moved from where she was. My grandmother had to move out of the neighborhood for some reason. I don't know, just because we were black. But my grandmother never said that. She just said she moved, got this house on Adel Street. And that's where we lived until I married. Married the first time, Dorothy's daddy.
Well, tell us about your Dorothy.
Tell
us about Dorothy, your only child.
Dorothy was born on Adel Street. And on Adel Street with she was born in my mother's house. There ain't no hospital back then. You could be born at home. And the man that my mother worked for was Dr. Taylor. And my mother had worked for them for years. And see, that's how I grew up knowing so much about the white neighborhood, because I was born in a white neighborhood. And the white people that knew me from the white neighborhood as a child, I worked on Bowden Street for, I hope, in the Douglas County something when I was 13 years old. Me and Miss Dozier, they owned it. Dozier, owned the pink store. And I'd go there. If I go now, I could show you my room. The house is still there. And she would say, well, Busta, let's go up and help. I can't think of the husband's name, but one of the sons was named Justin. They was getting ready to go back to New York, go to college. And that's the way I got to going up there. And I got to know everybody from going up to the pink store with the Dozier. And the first outfit I ever bought was at Vanderbilt's clothing store on the corner of Bowden Street. I remember that. I was so happy. I tell you, I'm getting grown in. And just got to knowing the white people. And see, that's why I know so many white people. And see, most of the white people think my name is Busta. We was talking about that to my girlfriend, white friend, one of the richest women in Douglasville. She come here just like she at home. We'd sit there and eat or go in the den and eat. And the last time I came, I was in my bedroom. Here she coming there. And Lorene looked up and, ooh, then just looking at her. About being a white woman and wealthy like she said, Lord, that woman in Miss Page's bedroom sitting there talking. And after she left, I said, Miss Page, that woman know you. I said, oh, gosh, I've been knowing, worked her for years and years. I said, that's just the way she is. And she come and take me out to lunch. And I got where I was sick and couldn't dress. That's when I had arthritis in this arm so bad I couldn't raise her. And her car, and I didn't know it was Janie. And she was getting out, bringing her, get her packet. She had gone and got our food. I said, Jane, what in the world? She said, I brought our lunch. I said, our lunch? And that's where it started. It was from here. After I got sick, she would always order lunch. And we would always go out to lunch when I felt like I got old and getting sick. And she said, oh, come, I'm going to make you feel good. I'm going to take you to lunch. Where you want to go? I said, wherever you take me. And that's the way we started, her coming here. And after I got where I couldn't put my clothes on, and she knew I wasn't going nowhere looking, I said, no, I'm not going, I can get my clothes on. And she said, well, what about me coming over here? I said, oh, yeah, if you want to. She said, do I want to? I said, Martha, I love you, and I just want to be with you. I said, I believe that. I said, but that's all right. You can just come here anytime you get ready, And she called and said, Martha, I'm coming. I didn't know she had lunch. Great big bag. Had been to get to the lunch and said, where are we going to eat at? I said, oh, we'll sit here, sit at the table or whatever. That started that off. Then after I couldn't get dressed. And that's the way it is now. She just feel good. She left her hat right here the last time she was here. We had lunch. And somebody came in. We was sitting at the table eating. They said, I said, we see this car down here a lot. I said, yeah, I worked for her for years, till I was 84 years old. I said, and she just like a daughter. And she is. And she's one of the richest white women in Douglasville. First tell you that. But color don't mean a thing to her as far as I'm concerned. Treats me just got through talking to her. She hadn't called me. Listen, she fell and broke her foot. Then she fell and broke her shoulder. I'm telling you, this all happened in a few weeks. Broke all up here too, broke her shoulder. Then she fell and broke something else. I don't forgot what she said. Hadn't been in the hospital yet. And she's walking and calling me, trying to get me on the phone. But Tim, I know sometimes the phone rang, it hangs up, I guess. But I don't know how to use these phones good. I really don't. I can't have here. And she been worried to death about me, and she got me just that she always coming, that she called. And she was so glad to hear me. And see, I couldn't get nobody to take me to see her. And I was just worried to death because I know she was broke up and just out of the hospital when her son brought her back in and we had lunch. And I said, I wonder if something happened to Jamie. She said, Martha, I've been calling you and calling you day and night. Said, I can't get through to you. I said, what? I said, if I'm asleep or in the bed up in my bedroom and I don't have my phone, I cannot hear the phone. Because, see, I'm getting deaf. Just like you're saying something, she have to come up close and talk to me. I'm losing my hearing. But she's one of the nicest friends. That happened for this pink stove. And that's the last connection we had and the last job I had. And Deborah was so sweet, and I was so glad to have her to raise her. You know, I wasn't doing nothing. Darlene now wanted me to take Deborah because she was getting grown, you know, and they didn't want her to be raised and not doing right because she was getting what she wanted to get, you know, be around somebody. And I said, oh yeah, let me have her. And that's where Deborah come about. And just got to be my daughter. Just like a mother, she mind me. Whatever occasion I told Deborah, that's what she done. And she would listen. I never had no trouble about Deborah running around or nothing. And when she got a little older, she got connected with Francis. And you know how Francis was. And I would let her not go to Golden across the street. She would go, most of the time, be around Francis' children at Mount Olive. And that's our relationship really got close. Francis, on the kind of Deborah was here. And that's just the way it happened. Mm-hmm. And Deborah was just so sweet. She never would say nothing. She's real quiet. You know, Joanne was quiet till she got around the people that she cared about. And Deborah just met friends and just had friends at the church and met older women. They just helped me with Deborah at the church until she got grown. I never had no trouble with Deborah Marshall at all. And met Robert. And Frances told me one day she was getting ready to date somebody, the Cox boy. And I knew that wouldn't work because he was drinking liquor and everything. I said, that ain't gonna work here. No, I ain't having that. I don't lose friendship with Christine over that. I said, tell that nigga not to come here no more. And I said, if you ain't tell him, I ain't Busta, tell him. And I meant that. I said, tell that nigga. I said, no, he ain't dating you. You ever gotten mad? Now she frowned up, and I said, well, I have to know who coming in that door. And so she got mad and pouted a while, and then started going to Mount Olive and met Robert. As nice as he could be, saying so mountable. I said, well, let me see him. I said, I tell Deborah, I said, bring him here the next. She wouldn't say nothing to him because she didn't like him. Told Frank she didn't like him. And I said, she don't know who she want to like. I said, she ain't and everybody coming in, all these boys drinking, looking things, ain't coming here. I said, no, you know me better than that. I said, no, I ain't coming here. And I know them all. And I told don't bring no trash here. Because I ain't got to sweep up after them, don't bring that here. And I just started straight with Deborah and said what I meant and meant what I said. So she never did disrespect me or nothing. So Robert got to come. So, and every time Deborah would go from Mount Olive, and she said, Jeff, Robert said, Miss Shackelford, there's Deborah over there. Every Sunday, Deborah was down there. He liked the way Deborah looked something. And he said, Miss Shackelford, there's Deborah. He gonna get to Frances, he gonna get to her and let her know, just like she didn't know Deborah was there. Deborah Shackelford is over there. That's the way it started. When I found out that Deborah had cancer, it just really done something to me, you know. But she was so quiet with it, and she had let me know in time about her breast. I guess she probably could have saved Deborah. But see, Deborah wouldn't tell me nothing about it until it was too late. When I noticed and still took her to the doctor. See, Deborah, the cancer had gotten all over her. And see, I didn't know it. And that hurt me so bad. because it could make her mad. Been something that the doctor could have done to prolong her life if I had have known in time. And Dorothy didn't want to tell me. She didn't tell me. I mean, Cootie. I mean, Deborah. And that just hurt me to my heart. But yet and still, I just had to forget about that and wait on her. And she wasn't no trouble between me and Robert and the doctor. Deborah's died happy. She really did. And Robert would go over there and take the stool, sit by her bed, talk to her, and just sometimes he'd just sit there with Deborah all the evening. He'd come and sit with Deborah. And Deborah, she didn't complain. I don't know where she was hurting. And I told her, Deborah, if anything hurts you, you let me know. And I got the people to come and see her about the baby and all. And they told me, said, Deborah's getting worse and she need to go. I said, well, where? So we let us decide where we're going to take her. And they decided to take her to Atlanta. And that's where she went. And she died over there. But she was doing good. I would go and stay all the time with her. And the nursing thing have her dressed so pretty every time I went. And see, Deborah's she's a friendly person. She, got to meet people. And the nurses were so nice too. I can't think of it. I was expecting because I was there all the time. And see, I knew she was getting it. When she stopped talking, I knew the time wasn't long. Because she stopped talking. And the nurses, especially the two nurses that waited on her, they said she was a good patient, quiet, and she was a very quiet person. The people she didn't know, not the people she knew and be around, she was a lot of fun, Like Teresa and Kim, Peggy, Khadijah, what I'm trying, Khadijah created about Deborah. And so everything went well and just had a funeral there, but I missed her so much after she left. I met Uncle Alfred at church and knew him when he married his first wife. And we would go to Zion Hill and he married her. Oh, and did he dress her up. Oh, that woman. I said, if I ever marry this kind of husband, I'm going to have. Somebody had me up at arm when I go to step. Admiring her and him, he'd be so dressed up, and Alfred be dressed up. Have her up under the arm. I liked that. I said, he lived. I said, my friend, I said, that man lived across the street from where I go to church. I said his mother and daddy were old, and he had her by the hand when he crossed the street to take her to church. Every Sunday morning, Papa Page had Mama Page dressed and walking across there holding hands. And when they dropped hands to get her across the street, he'd take her hands again and lead her in the church. I watched that all my life. I said, oh, now that man loved his mother and daddy, loved his mother and daddy. Because you could see it. I said, if I ever get married, I'm going to have a husband like that. Never dreamed that I would ever meet Alfred for meeting as a boyfriend. And we got talking. And I wasn't dating nobody, but Clyde Howard was my friend until he died. Not my boyfriend, but my close friend. And Clyde said, Busta, I believe you're going to marry that man. I said, I think I am too. See, you're getting serious. I said, yeah, but he's not talking exactly right yet. And he and Clyde, he caught her coming in the winter. She's out cold. He's working at Lockheed, and come home, and she hadn't been out cold. And he had an old basket. His mama used to take clothes to Dr. Hampton where she worked. The basket's supposed to be out there in the garage now. He put all her clothes in that basket that night, he said. And said, no, I told your mama it's everything you ever have. I was going to bring you back where I found you. And that's what he done that night. He said he took Ethel home about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and threw that basket in Miss Summers' floor. And that old lady was talking or something. And he said she got the clothes out of the basket. And he told her, said, well, I told you if anything ever happened, I'd bring her back where I got her. And he left and didn't go back. Before they me to get together, we'd go in the church out there floating around. And so one day he asked me to, can I take you out to lunch, Busta? I said, out to lunch? I said, I don't know about that. I got to think about his age and me frassing around. Oh, Lord, yeah. I paid much older than me. Oh, yeah. Eric Page was good, Lord. And we got to talking. We got to dating, and Esther said, well, I would like to be your boyfriend. I said, I don't have no boyfriend. And I said, you want to take me to Zion Hill, as the first ship, Zion Hill, the code. And after that, we just started dating. And eventually, he wanted to ask me to marry, and I was so glad. And he was so crazy about Dorothy. Like when he'd take me to Atlanta shopping, he'd take Dorothy, and I never will forget. Dorothy bought a real expensive dress over there. Mama, I want this. Mr. Alpha go to buy this for me. I said, you hadn't talked to Mr. Alpha about buying nothing. I said, what you talking about? He said, Mr. Alpha gonna buy this for me. I said, you take that dress and put it back. And Alpha said, don't let her put her dress back. I said, I can buy it if I want to buy it, can't I? I said, yeah, but she hadn't asked you. Said she don't have to ask me to buy it. I just want to buy it. And dress was expensive. And I said, you gonna buy that for her? I said, yes, I'm gonna buy it for her. She want it. And that's the way that started over there in Atlanta. I said, to myself. I said, now he done bought Dorothy that dress, and Dorothy gonna be wanting to go somewhere. But she didn't. She just liked that dress. It was so pretty. And it was expensive, but he said, don't worry about how much it cost. If she wanted it, I get it. And I said then, he said, don't want to get in his business. Don't ask me nothing. So I got the money. And that's the way that started. And from that on, he just got where he just started coming to the house. We just started dating. And when he asked me would I marry him, I was ready because he was so nice to Dorothy. And I always wanted a husband. He liked Dorothy, Dorothy liked him, Dorothy liked him. And I said, that's going to work out for me, I believe. And I was working, I knew I was going to Miami because I had planned to let I go to Miami and take care of Faith. And I was working in Atlanta, and I liked my job. And I told him, I said, I promised the lady I'm going to Miami to work. And he said, well, I'm going to tear the old house down, and Uncle Fred promised to build a house for us. Mom paid and Pop paid for living then. He said, I'm going to see can I get that apartment connected to the church. They had a 4-room apartment on St. James. And they rented it to him. And he let Mom pay and Pop stay there till they built his house. I was in Miami. And I came home, I flew home twice to see how things were going. And the last time I came, Uncle Fred was almost through with the house. And he said, now, Martha, you gonna give up your job? I said, oh yeah, she already know. I already told her I'm leaving and getting married. And she said, Martha, I promised you something, and I won't do it. So you're going to the Bahamas. I'm going to send you to the Bahamas, and I'm not going. You're going by yourself. I said, I'm not getting on no airplane. She said, oh yes, you are. I said, why you not getting on no airplane? I said, I'm scared. I said, there's nothing to be scared of. And said, I want to give you this as a gift. You've been so good to Faye. I just love the little girl. You're deaf. And I made up my mind. I said, well, I'm going to get her. She said, I'm going to have everything planned for her. So when he gets there, a black man's going to take you off the plane and see that you settle for a week. I said, are you kidding me? I said, no, everything's arranged. And when I got in the air, I was scared to death. And when I got to the Bahamas, I was kind of relaxed. And sure enough, when I got there, the young man was dressed in white, had a white coat on. He worked at Delta. And see, they knew him when they would go somewhere. And said, you don't have nothing to worry about. He got a place ready for you to stay and everything. And he's going to be nice to you. and we know the family. So otherwise we wouldn't send you over there by yourself. Ooh, I enjoyed myself carrying me to Terry Belafonte's home. Just the movie stars, Sammy Davis Jr. I just got to see all of that, you know. And it wasn't furnished in the morning. I didn't have to do nothing but sleep and dress and get up. And he picked me up and carried me sightseeing to somewhere every day. And that's the way I met Alfred. Married, come home and married him. And just had a good life. Mm-hmm. I didn't come back and forth. I just stayed my time because I promised I'd go and stay until I got ready to get married. Somebody else had to see after faith. And that's the way it was. But I hate to give up my job. It was so good to me. And I got a set of dishes she brought me in there. I never used them. And they are up there and I never used them since I've been married. I just keep them. So that was my last job working. And I came home, got married. Here I am. Be at the house. Start working. Here I am. Anything I wanted, I got it. Considering, you know, he was an old man, had money, we knew how to manage. He said, I don't throw away no money. And when I find out you got enough of this and that, I'm going to tell you. So buying hats, I had so many hats. I ain't buying now another hat. And he meant it. I'm not buying no more hats here. So they're stomping them out there at the church and going and coming. Said, I ain't gonna take now another hat off your head out there. Shot. That man tickled me so bad. I'd be so tickled when I come eating at that table. And Reverend Kincaid came. And Lord, it was heaven. He said, Martha, see, instead of Reverend Kincaid and them going back to eat, would you like to cook for them and I'll buy the food? I said, Lord, Jay. He said, well, I'll cook about whatever you want to cook. If you say it's all right and you don't mind cooking for them. And I prepare things. Just got so good at gold and got to sing and all that church was on fire. And I said, Dad, I'm going to start cooking on Saturday. And cooking all my food on Saturday night. So I don't have nothing to do to get up and get dressed and get out, young. I said, I don't want to miss out that. The choirs, we had 4 choirs. Ooh. And I tell you, I was happy as a go-lucky and sang. Had all of this here, just happy married and happy in my church. Oh, he kept the yard. He kept everything clean out there. But he kept that yard. He had a riding lawnmower. He bought a riding lawnmower. Purpose of this yard. And this place was kept up. I mean, he'd keep it. This place really looked good. It looked bad now in the kind of wintertime. But listen, that yard looked just like my house. And I know I kept this house clean. Because he had bought me exactly what I wanted. And I enjoyed it. And he said, Martha, you tired of sitting at home? I said, yeah, I'm going to get me a job and go to work. And he said, well, I'm doing everything at Goldens, and I know you get tired of being here by yourself. And that's the way I started working with Janie. And I stayed there till I got tired. I was 82 years old when I left Janie's. And hadn't worked since. I enjoyed my house, enjoyed Reverend Kincaid. Reverend Kincaid been gone ever since he left, hadn't missed no time. In the 50 years he been gone. He let me know they was healing work every month. He hadn't missed a month writing me, telling me, and I think he's gonna surprise me if I live to see it, gonna bring Lamar. See, I raised Lamar. And Reverend Kincaid calls me all the time, let me know how things going with them. And he have his church. He have his own church now, and doing good. He called me last week. Don't miss a month. Never. And everything he slides into it, like Devil's Fume and everything. Don't ask me for a dime or nothing. That's the love we have. And I love Reverend Miss Kincaid and Lamar. And I feel like he gonna surprise me with Lamar. He might not, but I just feel like he gonna, the way he talk, I can tell he must be gonna bring Lamar with him. Because he know I want to see Lamar. I hadn't seen him since he left. And I talked to him on his 48th birthday. So that's the end of that as of right now. But what a year. What some years. Oh yeah. And out there, I love going. Spent my time out there singing and cooking. And everybody was so nice, and that's the way it is now. Oh, we had all kind of parties, but the wedding of Rose was something else. That's like we raised $31,000. We thought that was something. 31,000, the last two we had out there. And Miss Kent, every preacher's wife would come. See, Reverend Kincaid stayed here and started this church financially, just singing and going. We went everywhere on Sunday to sing. All the big churches up around Windsor, that way. Then when people got to on the hills in Atlanta, we got to go into Atlanta. You were talking about Lanell and Kurt and them doing their thing. Ooh. It's been some Gene Mine, Sally Joe, Lanell. You talking about a choir. Ooh. People coming from everywhere. Some of the young girls stopped going to Winston. They were some mad at them trying to come hear Reverend Kincaid preach. That's the kind of golden I've been in. And we had some, that there, see, I got sick over him. But over there, I can tell you all about the good time. I couldn't wait to get there on Sunday morning, and whenever they had something to do, we had it going on at Golden. You were talking about raising money on the Reverend Kincaid's leadership. We raised money, you hear me? We had a time. When I say a time, we had a religious time out there. Reverend Kincaid was something else. And he could draw the young people. They coming out of every church here this fall, and some of them would come to go and would get mad. And they knew Reverend Kincaid was something. Reverend Kincaid, he would go to their churches for things, and the children's hymn, Mom, we got to go hear him. They, the people at the churches at once got kind of upset though. But we wouldn't tell them children to come down here. They just didn't want to hear Reverend Kincaid preach. And they come too. So that's where it was left at. I thank God for He have lived. I had lived to see different cities that I wanted to see, like California. I've been to California. I've lived in Miami, Florida. I've toured and seen the states and things that I wanted to see. Being a black woman, just a black woman. I've had good jobs. People have liked me, black and white. People that, I ain't gonna say that, they don't put that on. They've been jealous of me because who I was, and they couldn't understand it. Miss Page do this and Miss Page do that. Why can't we do it? Cause you don't try. You have to get up and get out and make yourself. I've made myself in Douglasville. I've had a good life. I've had a lot of good friends. I've been a lot of places. I've enjoyed a lot of people that I never thought I would get to meet and enjoy all my life. And God just have blessed me to be blessed. And I am blessed. Don't have a whole lot of this and that, but I have God and I have a lot of friends. Now, I have a lot of friends and people that have shown and proved to me since I've been sick. Calling me, don't come too much, but calling me. Want to see how I'm doing. I can't come, but I want to let you know I'm thinking about you. And see, that's something. To live 100 years and know people still love you. I mean, see, all the people love me as young women like you. You see my people, Miss Duncan now. They are not real old people. They do. They have always done that. And even before I got old, people would be looking up, asking me how to do things or what I need to put on for such occasions and things. And I appreciated that. People have done that all their life. And then I just in the church, there's Miss Pay, I'm just telling you, if I live, I want to be just like you when I get grown. Now, I've heard that all my life out there at Golden, the young people. Because I said, I want to be like, I said, yes, I do. Said, Miss Page, you gonna be something to look at. The children, young people, y'all's age younger, because see, they admired my hats. And they were Miss Page, that's beautiful. They'd wait till I go in the church after, Miss Page, you look so pretty. And see, that was a compliment for me getting old and young people coming up to me saying that. And they meant it. They really meant it. And I said, children just trying to tell me how pretty I am and how I look. And Paige said, they running behind you every Sunday. I said, yeah, they do that. Miss Paige, you look nice. Miss Paige, you look nice. That's the way I'm going to be I'm going to be like you when I grow up. I've had more than children, but see the one that said that, Sarah Clyde's daughter, and the younger women that's dead is which really admired me, And that's a blessing to know you live when people come up to you and say things to you and mean it. Encourage them to just be good. Clothes is all right, but make sure you take care of yourself. Know how to carry yourself. I said that's what gets you through the world is how to carry yourself and how to meet people. Don't never talk and degrade nobody, because who are you to do that anyway? We're not here to do that. We're here to help somebody, and we are. If I can't help you, I don't need you. I can't help you, I do not need you. That's true. I want every young black woman to listen to what I'm saying. Don't destroy yourself while you're young, because you might live to be 100 years old like me. Have something to look back and tell somebody. See, what I'm saying is my life, and I'm not ashamed of my life. Not ashamed of it at all. Now, I hadn't been on good all my life. Don't nobody run over me. I ain't busted. Never have and never will. See, I don't play that. I don't play that with my relatives. I treat them not treat me like I treat you. That child right there can't never said I ever disrespected her. I don't do that. I give you the advice I know to give you as young women. Just like I said when y'all came. Take care of yourself. Don't be no whore for nobody. Think about your name and where you come from and who you are. You understand me? I'm saying don't have a boyfriend, but know how to be respect and tell him what you want to know. Don't you lay down with everybody ask you to go to bed with them. And I know some gonna ask you if they don't. They ought to, they will. That's who men's do. But you have a mouth and can say no. You'll know when it's time to do what you got to do. Don't throw yourself away while you're young, like a lot of people doing now, girls your age. Throwing themselves away, having one baby after another. That's no good. Just losing your life, what you could be, like y'all happy, working. Don't throw away all your money. Put something back and don't touch it regardless of what happened. Whatever you save it. Don't go in it. Put you up a saving if you start at $5 or $25. Don't leave it at that. Keep adding to it, but what you put in it, don't get it out. What you put in it, don't get it out. That's saving. Don't let nothing come between you and your saving. Because you might live to be, I never thought or dreamed that I'd live almost 100 years. Here I am living beyond 100. I'm almost 100 years old. And I might live to be over 100. But I've lived. And I've done things. I hadn't done all the things good. I enjoyed my life. But after I got older, I know how to live and I know how to treat people. Don't never make so much money you feel like you're better than your brother. Don't feel like you're better than nobody. If God done bless you to be blessed, appreciate it and don't think you're doing something, because you're not doing nothing. God just bless you. And appreciate your blessing. Y'all young. Y'all got a long way to go. Y'all got to go where ain't Busta been. And I've been there. You're living in a different world from what I come out of. I come out of a world that children did not disrespect their parents. But now children cussing and doing everything, and one baby right after another. That's not good. They hadn't been raised right. Don't do that. You have respect for your mother. That's your mother. I don't care what kind of mother. You respect your mother. Take up for your mother. Be good and glad to have you. I love my mother. That's the reason when I worked, I gave my mother and Ruby Kate my money to help with the house because I knew where we come from. And I knew my mother needed that money. That's the way we live. When Ruby Kate got grown and met this young man, you all don't remember your mother no named Tom Petty from New York, Chicago. That man come here with money, and Ruby Kate was getting a welfare check. But after she met Tom Petty, she never worried about nothing. They know that. Kim and them know that. She been everywhere she wanted to go. Reason she ain't been overseas and everything, she's scared to get on an airplane. Which is good, but Tom Petty took her everywhere she wanted to go. This man didn't marry him or nothing, but a boyfriend. He had money and he spent it on my baby sister. And she never did think about that hump in her back, because she lived a good life. Loved my mother, loved her children. She loved her children until she died. And I loved her until she died. I hope Ruby Kate and my mother all my life. And I just wish they could have lived to see the money I've made right here in Douglasville. People I worked for was good to me because I was good to them. I knew how to clean up. Not bragging, I ain't Busta know how to clean up a house and know how it look when it's cleaned up. And see, y'all beyond that. Y'all got better job. Be proud. Stay there. You making money and you gonna get something better, it's all right. But don't just quit because you wanna quit. Stay there until you get something better. Don't care what you make. Take a little bit out of it and put it up. Now when you put it up, don't go back and get it. You leave it there. I'm gonna put this up there for $5. You'll be surprised how $5 will grow if you live. And I keep putting it in there, $5. $5. You hear me? You hear me? $5. When you don't know how old you're gonna live to be. Put $5 or put $2. What you can spare. I don't know what you can spare, but I'm just saying. Whatever you can spare and don't need to throw away for candy or ice cream. Put it in a saving. I never dreamed that I'd live to be 99 years old. Y'all hear me?
Yes.
And I'm pretty hard to get along with at times in my old age, and I know it. But he's good to me, he understands me. And all the children understand Aunt Busta, because Aunt Busta don't play with y'all. When I tell Kim to hush, I mean for Kim to hush. Shut up when I'm talking. When I tell you to shut up, you saying something you got no business saying. They don't do that. They don't disrespect me. Never have. I can't tell you, your mother have never disrespected me. And I love her for it. I love her for it. And that's who I am. And y'all looking a strict auntie. But I don't play with children. I don't do that. I don't cater to their foolishness, and they don't cater to me. They listen when I talk, and they have respect for me. I'm talking business now. That's who I am. Not only to you all, to children in the street I chastised and told them how to live and how to treat their parents. That's who I am, because I've had a good life. My mother never scolded me or nothing. I always never asked me for no money. Then she didn't have to, and I always took the money home from work to Ruby Kate and my mother when I got paid, because I was living there. I had Dorothy there, and if I hadn't had nobody, I was there. But that's the way we grew up. I was nearly 80 years old before I know she drunk cookie in the house. I didn't know Margie be about drunk. I was about ready to leave myself when Ruby Kate said, Busta, I'm going to ask you something. Do you know Margie about high? I said, Margie drinking. I was working in Miami. I said, Margie's about drinking and cooking like that. I thought Margie'd be hot and go in the kitchen. But see, I'd see her reach down under the counter, but I wasn't playing no attention. And when Ruby Kate told me, she said, Margie, I got something to tell you. You tell Busta about the liquor. You tell Busta about the liquor. I said, Margie, you about high? I'm coming here on a visit. Ruby Kate started. Said, I really don't believe Busta know you drank it. Said, I'm going to tell her. Because the children ain't told her nothing. They said, hey. I said, no. I was, an old woman when I found out Margie about how cooking, like she cooked. And she could cook too. And if we had a wood, take off a glass and a old white pants, and a white towel, and take off a glass and do this. Ooh, well, Lordy. But I thought she'd be tired, be about drunk, in the house, and I didn't know it. That's the truth if I ever told it. Ooh, when Ruby Kate told me that, I said, Lord have mercy. She handled her liquor now. And where I come from, it was hard growing up. But my mother always told us, it's going to be a better day and you help make it better. My mother always, it's going to be a better day, but you may help make it be a better day. Treat people right. Treat everybody right. Treat the drunks right. Treat the Christians right. But give advice to the ones that's going astray. Be able to give some advice to this young race. Just like I'm talking to you all. I know what I'm talking about. I've been there. I've done that. Be better. If you drink liquor, drink it right. Whatever you do it with respect. Whatever you do. See, I ain't lost my respect. And I'm nearly 100 years old. And another thing, don't let people run over you. Ain't nobody ran over me. No, I always took up for myself. And that's what I've done all my life with nothing. But I've shared it. And God has really blessed me with 2 husbands and one good husband, Christian man. And I'm blessed. And I know I'm blessed. And I love my family love me. I'm straight up with my family. I said, now I love my family, and they love me.